Hey guys, it's LivSims back with another Sims 4 speed build video. And today, in keeping with the Friends theme that we've been doing for the past 3 weeks, we are doing Joey and Chandler's apartment across the hall from Monica and Rachel's. When I upload this to the gallery, I'm going to get some paint on the walls for the rest of the building and some flooring and maybe put like a mailroom or something down on the main floor so it makes sense as an apartment building. This apartment was really fun to build because there was a lot of clutter items around. Joey and Chandler's apartment is really full of just random items, so I really tried to add a lot of different clutter items, like especially things that I wouldn't use normally. So we go through a lot of that. I did cut out a lot of this countertop situation because it took me a really long time to get the countertops situated so I could get a sink in there and put the microwave where it belonged. I think if any of you guys download it, I'm not sure if the microwave would be accessible, that you might need to put it the opposite way on the cabinet, but for aesthetic reasons and so it matched the picture, I wanted to keep it looking exactly like the apartment. And then I used like a floor sign at the back of the oven because if you look at the stove in the photo, it's like there's a backing with a top shelf with a bunch of stuff on it. I know that I forgot to put in reference photos for Monica and Rachel's apartment last week, but I have them already set up and ready to go. So I will make sure to put some reference photos as I'm building, and you'll be able to see the little shelf unit that I kind of custom built. And then I also had custom built like a wall unit because I couldn't find that entertainment unit or anything like cabinet wise that I liked enough or that felt like it matched what was in the show. So I ended up making my own with a couple of cabinets, which you'll see in a bit. So as you can see here, I'm just working through the cabinets, trying to figure out the best way to get it. I did adjust the sides of the building at some point, which I don't put in the video because then I had to go outside and fix the exterior of the building as well, so I don't get into any of that. And then I'm just working again on those cabinets there. I really liked doing this apartment. I'm trying to figure out if I want to do Phoebe's apartment or Ross's apartment. I'm not sure if I want to. I really do like these kinds of builds, but I also don't always love building from reference because I am, first of all, a perfectionist and I really like things to be exact, and unfortunately we don't always have those exact items in game. But I really like building because I really like being able to be creative when I am building and bring my own vision to life, and this is obviously a little bit different, so I'm thinking I might do something different next week. My parents actually just went away to this hotel out in Montreal, and you stay on a mountaintop in these like domes with a lot of windows and stuff. So I was really inspired to build something like that. I haven't really spent a lot of time building with terrain tools, especially like on top of something like a hill. So I thought maybe it'd be a fun thing for me to do to try and replicate something along those lines. I have a couple of modern style cottages that I've been looking at Pinterest and stuff like that. So I was thinking that maybe next week I might switch it up and do something different. But we might always revisit the Friends theme and do Phoebe's apartment or Ross's apartment another time. So as you can see here, I was trying to use some of the just plain shelves to build some kind of a unit. And then I had actually spent a bit of time looking in the debug menu for some kind of an item that could act as a barrier, because if you look at the apartment, that wall isn't completely straight, it's slightly in. So I was trying to see if I could make it work, but it was the bigger, like the regular size walls were just too big and it didn't look right. So I opted for these cabinets from Get to Work. Again, the color's a little bit off, but this was the only color that had a swatch that matched the shelf that I was using, and I thought that that really made it look like one unit rather than a bunch of cabinets put together. So I kept it this color, even though it's not quite what they have in the show, but I think it gives off the similar idea. At least I really like the way that it turned out. I know we don't have anything like this in the game except for the tiny living little cabinet with the TV in it that acts like a radio as well, or they have the tall one. I do wish that we had more items like that. And then I'm sure, as you guys can see, I was changing the wall color every 3 seconds because I couldn't figure out what color I wanted to go with. Everything after a while just started looking a little weird, especially because in their apartment, the walls have that kind of molding, but I couldn't find one in game with molding that was quite the right color. So I'm right now using the one that is in the hallway, but I end up switching back to the original at some point just because this one looked a little bit too like drab and dirty, and I wasn't really a fan. So I ended up right there switching it. I ended up switching it right back to the old color, and then I was just adding a few extra items. The filming on this one is a little bit choppy. I filmed this build in like 3 or 4 different like periods, so I didn't always end and start at the same place, but I tried to line it up the best that I could. I really wanted to make sure that there was a lot of stuff on the kitchen, and again, just like I did Monica and Chandler's, I really wanted to keep in mind who's living in the apartment. So I've got those 2 pizza boxes there, a couple of things of juice. I think I pulled out a Chinese container as well. So yeah, the guy's apartment always had a lot of takeout items and a lot of different things around that they were eating. I'm pretty sure I used that cereal box in almost all of my builds. I don't know, I just think it's such a good counter or clutter item. I wish we had more of that. And then I have the fizz juice there on top of the fridge because I think it looks like it could be a case of beer. And then I'm just adding a few little decorations. I sized down the whiteboard from Discovery University and put it on the door because it looks kind of like the whiteboard that they have on the back of the door. And then I was just adding a few other things just on the shelf. Like I said before, I did film this in a few different chunks, so I kept going back and looking at the kitchen and thinking that it wasn't quite done, so I was adding a few more things. And then I just wanted to add a few things on this wall. I know we don't see a lot of it, but I looked at a couple photos, and from what I could see in like random corners, there was a table with a few different things on it. And then there's an episode where I think it's the episode that I talked about last time when he was building the entertainment unit. I think Chandler came in and he threw his keys down, and I guess they always put the keys in the mail there or something. And so I thought I'd put some mail items there, and then just a few random things, nothing really in like with any rhyme or reason. It's just sort of there, and a couple of sports items as well. And then I just went through and added a few things. I ended up kind of feeling like the back wall where the TV is was a little bare. I put a few things on top of the shelf, but there was nothing really on the shelf in the pictures, and I felt like I'd used a lot of the clutter stuff, so I ended up just keeping it pretty simple, just adding some random CDs. They did have in the photos I was looking at where the stereo is, I think it was on the other side. There's like a shelf that was specifically for CDs, and so I couldn't really find that, and I didn't want to just get a shelf and throw that same CD clutter item a bunch of times. I decided just to kind of throw them around just on all the different tables and things like that. And then I saw that penguin in the debug menu from Nifty Knitting Stuff, and it looks exactly like Joey's penguin pal Hugsy, and so I sized him up and I put him on the couch there. That I just thought it was such a perfect item. I couldn't believe that we had it in the catalog, so I made sure to put him right there where you can see him. And then I just got into the bathroom, which I put a little more detail in the bathroom for the guys than I did for the girls, because there was a specific photo that I was using, and I'll put it up, and it had a good view of all the different shelves and stuff like that. And then they happen to have that lifeguard's donut in their bathroom, so I put it in ours as well. And then just a couple of shelves. I mean, it's not a lot of detail, but I did put a little bit more because you can't really, the girls' bathroom, you just don't get much when you're watching the show, and I couldn't find any good pictures, but for the guys I did, so I used that. And then I think we're going to be getting into the bedrooms pretty soon. I really liked what we did with Chandler's bedroom. I kind of did like a custom headboard with some shelvings, and I really, really like the way that turned out. But I start with Joey's. The bedrooms are a little bit crammed. Truthfully, I haven't play tested that bedroom. I think they'll be able to squeeze by, but it might just be a matter of pushing the bed a little further in. Chandler's bed, I'm sure that your Sims can get in it no problem, because I ended up putting it the other way because I wanted to do the headboard, but I was trying to stay as true to the show as possible. And based on the picture that I'll put up on the screen, or if I already have already, the way that Mike and Joey are walking into the room, it just looks like the bed would be that way, and they have there's the window against the headboard there, so I wanted to try to keep it as accurate as possible by putting the bed there. That's why I chose that bed, because I know that it's small enough that you can kind of push it into the wall without it coming up the other side. I tried to make Joey's room as messy and cluttered as possible, because in the photo there's just tons of stuff all over the countertops. There's just things are everywhere, so I tried to make it as cluttered as possible. And then there are a couple movie posters. I thought I'd use the Doctor one since he played Dr. Drake Ramore in Days of Our Lives. And then we just move over to Chandler's bedroom. Just like I'd said before, I put the bed the other way, and in the photo I saw there were shelves up at the head instead of just a regular headboard, so I decided to use some shelves which matched the wood perfectly, and then I just add a bunch of clutter items as well on here. And I think it turned out really good, actually. I like the way that it looks. I think I would actually do it again, even in another build, just to kind of switch it up a little bit, and all of the items fit really well. It's times like these where I'm actually kind of glad that not all of the items that are one tile necessarily fit on these shelves, because that gave me the freedom to place the items wherever I wanted without having to move the shelves or use the red shelf mod. I could just sort of use the bracket keys to, or sorry, not the bracket keys, the 9 and 0 keys to lift it up and down as I pleased. So that kind of worked out well for me. But yeah, it just added a bunch of random stuff. I tried to use stuff that I saw in the photo. I couldn't get a radio on there, but some body care stuff, some books and things like that, and then of course a couple random clutter items. I thought the statue of the duck there worked really well, especially because they had the chicken, the duck, and I thought it'd be a nice ode to them. And then I just put a wardrobe, kept it really simple with a mirror and a few other things. I put a couple plants. I didn't see a lot of plants in the photos, but I still like the way that plants look in the Sims and in the room, so I always try to add a couple wherever I can. But I didn't want to put too much on his dresser. I just thought, even though when I built this, I intended it to be like early seasons. I still wanted to, keep in mind that he's with Monica and she's a neat freak. So I would think that she probably wouldn't want him to have a bunch of stuff that didn't really have a place, even though his headboard is a disaster. So I don't know, maybe she let it slide, who knows. And then I just got some curtains there and a few little pictures around. And then for this fourth wall, again, similar to the girls' apartment, since you don't really see what's on this wall, I decided to just put a desk and a computer. For gameplay, I think that's probably the best way to go about it. I got a couple of skill building items in there. I put the microphone to practice acting and comedy for Chandler, a bookshelf, and a few random items. We're just about to get into screenshots though. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys like this video. Make sure you do all the things. You can catch me at ItsLivSims on Instagram and Twitter, and the gallery as well. I will see you guys next week.